two videos of this series, we talked about the importance of your chosen fiduciary manager understanding your unique circumstances and requirements. Within Russell Investments, we use this information on your scheme to create a bespoke fingerprint which is unique to you. We then use that information to design and implement a risk-controlled investment strategy which provides you with greater certainty on achieving the objectives you set. Now, gone are the days of being able to set your investment strategy and leave it to do what it does without having clear focus of what it's delivering through time. There's a saying that what gets measured gets managed. Once a strategy has been put in place, you then need to turn your energy to focusing on whether it's delivering on what it said it would on the tin. Now, 2020 has been a challenging year for many, if not all of us. When we think about being a pension scheme trustee, over this period we've seen equity markets fall by just under 35% peak to trough, and over that period we've also seen liabilities continuing to increase as government bond yields have pushed lower. Now, within this backdrop, it's difficult for trustees to understand whether their strategy is performing in line with the objectives they set. Most important for trustees is ensuring that all the promised benefits can be paid on time and in full. When thinking about how your strategy is holding up, one of the most important things is to monitor the asset and liability value daily, and this allows you to look at the funding level. Now, when we're talking about this information, and particularly the assets, we're not talking about stale information, which might be up to 90 days old from the end of the previous quarter, and we're not talking about using proxies or estimates for rolling forward those asset values to value the assets at the most recent date. As trustees, you should demand that the actual assets and liabilities of your scheme are used and monitored on a daily basis. With regards to the liabilities, most fiduciary managers will set up a liability benchmark which is based on the output received from the last actuarial evaluation. Over the last 3 to 5 years, there's been a sea change in how members are taking their benefits, and there's been an increase in transfer values and members taking the maximum tax-free cash lump sums. Again, these are areas where your fiduciary manager needs to closely monitor how the liabilities are changing through time. If that isn't done, you can get drift between the liability values which the fiduciary manager is monitoring and those of the scheme actuary. Now, you don't want to get drift here, as in a difference between the two, and if they aren't accurate, then that could mean you miss out on achieving some of those de-risking triggers which might be in your initial journey plan. In addition to your fiduciary manager having this information at their disposal, you as trustees should also expect to be able to view this information or have it at your fingertips. That's why we've got an online portal which you can log on to at any point in time and understand what your assets and liabilities are valued at in real time. During the swings or highs and lows rather that we've seen during the pandemic, many trustees have found this really important and a crucial part of them understanding how their portfolios are performing and evolving as we move through time. In addition to having online information, it's also crucially important for trustees to have open lines of communication with their fiduciary manager. Gone are the days of being able to meet once a quarter. With the onset of the pandemic and the move to virtual meetings, one of the benefits of that is that all trustee boards have now started to adopt virtual meetings, and that means that it's quite easy to get trustees and groups of people together for 15 to 20 or 30 minutes to discuss portfolio developments and any changes that might be required within the portfolio. Now, we appreciate that every trustee board is different, but on average during the first half of 2020, we had 15 touch points with our clients. Some more, for example, where they're going through actuarial evaluations, and some less. But we do think with these fast moving markets, it's extremely important to have a close and frequent dialogue with your chosen fiduciary manager. In addition to having open lines of communication, it's also really important to have bespoke, detailed reporting. And within this, you want to understand what are the drivers behind changes in the funding level quarter on quarter. For example, are the liabilities increasing off the back of interest rates and inflation expectations changing? And what's happening with the growth assets? So what's the driver behind the returns there? So could it be as a result of equity markets increasing, which is what we saw during Q3 and Q4, following the bounce back from the lows seen during the end of Q1? Or could it be returns from other areas of the portfolio? For example, the returns you might have on property holdings or corporate bonds. Having these detailed reports at your disposal and understanding how you expect that to change the funding level through time is really important. Particularly when we think about scheme sponsors, they've had so many challenges to deal with during 2020, perhaps things that they never thought they'd have to think about. Now, we found that for the majority of sponsors we work, or clients we work with, their sponsors have taken a great deal of comfort from knowing that professionals are managing their pension scheme portfolios day in, day out, and navigating through the developments which are evolving within the markets. And that is one of the main benefits of fiduciary management, is knowing that you are both controlling the risks and responding to them each and every day. Now, on the topic of quarterly reports, we also think it's really important to have complete transparency on the fees that you pay. So these are the fees that are paid to the underlying managers and strategies used in the portfolio, and also the fees that are paid to the fiduciary manager for the services that they provide. Now, all of our client reports clearly set out the fees which clients incur, and we believe this should be industry standard for all clients, regardless of whether you use fiduciary management or not. Now, to summarise what we've covered in this video, at the start of your journey, it's important to focus on your objectives and what you're trying to achieve, and then working with your chosen partner to implement an investment strategy which can both achieve those objectives and reduce the risks which your portfolio is exposed to. Once this strategy has been put in place, you then need to turn your attention towards monitoring the strategy and ensuring that it's delivering on the objectives that it was set. If that isn't the case, you need to understand the reasons for that and whether any steps need to be taken to increase the certainty of you achieving those objectives going forward. Now, if you'd like to find out more information, please visit our landing page where you'll find our contact details and further information on Russell Investments' IFM approach. Thank you.